She served her country, and now she's serving families in a whole new way. This is the story of a veteran, a single mom, and a surrogate on her new mission.
So I like to think of mine as like a whisper that grew over time.
That whisper turned into action, and Bridget's military discipline prepared her for the shots, schedules, and the structure of surrogacy. But what surprised her most was the bond she has formed with her intended parents.
That was just something that kind of like was on my heart and just like I said, just kept coming up. And
Right.
eventually it was just like, this is something that is just like a calling for me. This
No, I
is something that you
totally.
have to answer to.
In this episode, you'll hear how Bridget's new mission proves that sometimes the greatest acts of service begin with a whisper. Well, Bridget, first of all, thank you so much for your service in the military and now helping just create a happy family as a surrogate. How do you feel your kind of military experience shaped you as you walk through this surrogacy journey?
Um, I think definitely perspective just in general, because I did deploy a couple times. So
Yeah.
perspective on life in general is just different from the very first deployment. It definitely helped with structure in life. I don't feel
Sure.
like I had very much structure growing up. So structure and definitely discipline. Yes. Yeah, I think in the beginning of in the military, like you have to show up at a certain time. Like in basic training, you wake up at a certain time and you have to follow their schedule. It doesn't matter what you want to do. Like it's up to them. And so I
Yeah.
think even when you go to your new base, like you have to show up at a certain time. And I was a cop. I was a security forces. And so we'd have to show up earlier because you have to do guard mount and stuff before. Um, and I think after the military, I still I kept a routine because I had my daughter towards the end of my military career, and
Hmm.
she was kept on a routine. So I think that helped, like me already having the structure and the discipline, and then keeping her on a routine. And so even now, like the beginning of surrogacy, when you have to take the progesterone shots and the Lupron shots, and you have this window and you have to take your shots in that time frame, and like waking up on the weekends and having to maintain because during the week I have to leave my house at 6:30, so I'm waking up taking my shot at 6. So I was even waking up at 6 on Saturdays and Sundays to take my shot and then go back to sleep if I can. But yeah, I think I don't I wasn't expecting to have such a I guess a strict medicine plan at first. I didn't know I was going to have that. But I mean, it wasn't an issue to have it. And I think it is because I already had routines and schedules.
For sure. And like you said, you were used to, an a authority saying, okay, you have to be here at this time doing, this. It was like, okay, the doctor is telling me I need to do this at this time, and that's that. What Just going back, what drew you to surrogacy in the first place? What was your why in becoming a surrogate?
Oh, I love this question. So I like to think of mine as like a whisper that grew over time. My
Hmm.
cousin, she's like my sister, but my cousin, she had a hard time getting pregnant. And they tried, I think a total for 11 years, so 7 years, and then they started IVF. And I think they did 4 years of IVF. They had, I think, 3 embryos, and the first one didn't take. The second one did take, which is my little cousin Alyssa. We just celebrated her quinceañera
Hmm.
in August. Yes, so that was really,
Congratulations.
thank you. That was really nice to go to. And then they had a
Mhm.
third embryo, and that one didn't take. But around the time my cousin was trying, I had just joined the military. And I
Mhm.
remember her talking to me and just like telling me their story and just like how upset she was and like all the different things they had gone through and like just tried just because they heard it could help. And um, me just thinking like I would carry a baby for my cousin, you know, like
Mm.
if I could, I would. But I was still early in my military career, and I don't even think that surrogacy was talked about that much, you know. I don't.
Mhm.
So it was just kind of like a thought. So then throughout my military career, like, you know, I had friends that were gay or, you know, couldn't have kids, and we would just have conversations like just, you know, being on post and there's nothing, you just have conversations like hypothetical. And so there was always one like, would you have a baby for someone else, family, friend? And my answer was always yes. I was never the no person. And so then fast forward, I'm out of the military. Like I just moved here to Oklahoma City. It was 2023, so yeah. And I remember being at work one day and just thinking, like, I don't know, surrogacy just popped in my head, and so I was like, It's like okay. So I kind of started looking into it, and then I talked to a couple of my friends, and they were just like, you know, you're too sensitive. You wouldn't be able to, you know, give the baby up, or like what if you get attached, and like, you
Mhm.
know, not us not knowing anything about surrogacy.
Right.
And I was just like, yeah, maybe you're right. And I had just moved here, so it's like maybe it's not a good time. So I kind of just like let it go and never looked at it again. And then last year around the same time, I was at work again, and in a different office, and I was like, surrogacy popped up in my head again, and I was like, this just keeps coming up for me. Like I don't know what it is about this, but so this time I didn't say anything to anyone. I just like looked it up on my own,
Mhm.
and I just kind of like researched a little bit, and I was just like, okay, and I just was thinking about it. And then I think I had a yearly checkup at the VA, and I remember her coming in, and I had maybe been there not even 5 minutes. And she was like, do you have any questions, concerns, anything? And I said, no. She was like, you're good to go. You're fine. I was like, okay. And the first thing I thought walking out was, I could really do this for someone. Like, I could really help someone.
Yeah.
And so I was on my way to pick up my daughter, and I called my cousin, and I was, you know, asked her questions like, hey, you know, when you were going through your process, did you ever think about surrogacy? Like, was that something that, you know, you guys even thought about? And
Mhm.
she did tell me. And then I was like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. And she was like, Bridget, she was like, if you did decide to do it, she's like, that'd be such an amazing thing. She's like, I know
Mm.
how, you know, how much me and Rafa wanted a baby. And, you know, if you did this for someone, like they would just be so grateful. You'd be making their dream come true. And she was like, it would just be amazing. So a couple days later, I had a dream that I was sitting on a crescent moon, and I was holding a baby in my left hand, and it was asleep. And I just remember saying, everything's gonna be okay. And I woke up and I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, this is something I need to do. It's just
Right.
something I have to do. So that very next day, I went to work and I started Googling like surrogacy agencies, stuff like that. And that's when I found egg donor surrogate solutions. And I looked at the reviews, I looked at the website, and that was it. Like that was just it. I read all the reviews. I read that everybody had been a surrogate, or you
Mhm.
know, and I was like, I didn't even look at any other agencies. Like I found you guys, and that was it. And so I applied, and the next day I was like responded to, and the process just like went from there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And I love your description of it was a quiet whisper that grew. And I mean, that's so beautiful. Do you see any connection between your service and a desire to serve as a surrogate?
I mean, I know they're both very selfless, but I think
Mhm.
like for me, joining the military for me was, I had a rough childhood, so it was me trying to get out of that and just have more structure and discipline and,
Mhm.
and with surrogacy, I think it was as I got older and I grew and I healed, like that was just something that kind of like was on my heart and just kind of like just like I said just kept coming up, and
Right.
eventually it was just like okay, like it is a very selfless act and it's just something that I need to do. um so the military, even though it is a selfless thing to do because you're fighting for your country, I think that was just more of like something that I had to do. This is something that is just like a calling for me. This
No, I
is something that you
totally
have to answer to.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. I totally relate. It just stays on your heart and then it
Yeah.
just kind of keeps, just bumping at you.
Hmm.
We'll get right back to the show in just a second. But real quick, have you ever wondered what it would be like to help create a family through surrogacy? At Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, we've spent 18 years walking alongside women who said yes to making a difference. And we'd love to support you as you explore if surrogacy might be the right next step. Our team includes women who have been surrogates themselves. So when we say we understand, we truly do. You can download our surrogate journey and compensation guide at createahappyfamily.com. It's a big decision, and it's okay to have questions. This is your invitation to find out more. All right, let's get back to the show. Again, that relation to obviously being in the service is it's a huge thing. You're fighting for your country, there's sacrifice, and you're part of something that's bigger. Do you feel surrogacy kind of taps into just that same sense of just purpose?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Um, yes, I do. I do think that a lot because, like I said, I feel like it's something I guess is my purpose. Like something that I have to do and something that I have to go through, and like even if I just do it this one time and it's just something that I feel like I need to do. And my IPs, which I love, they're always telling me, they're so grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And they thank me a lot, and that's really hard for me because I'm like, thank you, like thank you for you chose me too, so thank you. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm part of a bigger purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally understand. It's sort of that struggle between no, 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 I want to do this for you. It's just as much of a blessing to us as it is to you. And we're just
Yes.
like, we just all love
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, like whenever Veterans Day rolls around, you hear a lot of talk about courage and sacrifice and purpose and just so that either a call or you're part of that bigger picture. How do you feel those words connect to your role as a surrogate?
Hmm. I think it's the same, like people, I still to this day don't know how to react when people say thank you for your service, when they find out
Mm-hmm.
that I'm a veteran. Thank you for your service. And I'm just like, thank you. Like, I don't really know what to say because it's just, again, it's something that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it's very similar to what I just mentioned about my IPs and them thanking me.
So not only are you a veteran, a surrogate, you have so many titles, and one of those titles is mom, but you're also a single mom, and so that adds just a another layer to the fun of all of this. What does surrogacy look like in your kind of day-to-day life as single mom?
um, yes, so I am a single mom, although I like to think of myself as a single woman, not really a single mom. But yeah, so far, um, it's been fine. I'm not gonna lie, I've had a little bit of anxiety and I've been a little bit scared, just because I am here by myself. I don't have family here. But so far it's been good, and my daughter is very helpful. Like, she knows, and so she's like, "Mom, do you need anything? Do you need to do this? Do you need me to carry this?" And so she's
Aww.
very supportive and very helpful. And I the week that she is with her dad, I get that whole week to just relax and do nothing
Mm-hmm.
after work if I don't want to do anything. And then when she is here, then I take her to practice or I take her to games. And sometimes if I don't want to do anything and she's with me, I'm just like, "Good night, I'm tired today." And she's like, "Okay." But like she's very understanding. So far it's been good. My IPs have been very supportive. They're 3 hours away, and I actually just seen them today. We had our 13-week doctor appointment. They've come out here I think this was their third time coming out here. Um, and they're so helpful, and they're just like, they bring me food. They cook for me and they bring me food and they bring me snacks, and they're just like, "Whatever you need, just let us know." So
Mm.
I there's a one side of me that feels, I guess, I know I'm not, but kind of feels like I'm doing it alone. But then on the other side, I know I'm not doing it alone. Like, I know I can call my IPs and say, "Hey, I need your help," and they'll be here.
Oh.
And then my family lives in Denver, but they're very supportive. They're always checking on me. And
Mm-hmm.
my cousin, she actually went with me for the transfer. And then she also wants to come out here around the time I have the baby, just to be out here with me so I'm not alone. So even though I'm a single woman and I don't have family out here, I definitely feel the love and support. I also have friends that I've been friends with since I was in the military, my first deployment. So 2009 was our first deployment together, and we're still super close. I'm not doing it alone.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, it's beautiful that you have just all of that love and support, and, just that circle of family and chosen family. And then, like you said, your hopeful parents are, just they're right there to jump in wherever they can. I mean, it's yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. Going back to your daughter, how did you kind of explain the process to her when you decided, okay, I am listening to that whisper now?
Yeah, so I didn't tell her until I mentioned to her one day in a drive-through. I was like, "Hey, do you know what a surrogate is?" And
Mm-hmm.
she knew, and it's funny how I found out she knew, but initially she was just like, "Isn't that a lady who has a baby for another lady?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's exactly what it is."
Yeah.
So I explained it a little bit more, and she was just like, "Oh." And then she looked at me. She's like, "Are you pregnant?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And at that point, I don't think I had fully like signed paperwork or anything. I think I was still just kind of in the application process, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when I did decide, I told her the same day I told her dad, because I knew I'd have to travel. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, if I have to travel and she's supposed to be with me, then I would need her to stay with you. And he was completely fine with that, very supportive. Um, and I told her the same day because I wanted her to be able to talk about it openly. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want her to feel like she'd have to keep a secret from anyone or like can't tell no one. So I told them on the same day. And I remember asking her, like, hey, do you remember me asking you about this? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, I think I'm going to do it. And she was like, well, actually, I had already matched with my intended parents, and I was supposed to be getting ready to travel to Dallas for the routine checkups.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I am going to do it. And I was like, this is what it is. This is how it's going to go. And she was just like, okay. And I was like, what do you think? She was like, I think you're very brave. And I was like, okay. And she didn't say too
Oh.
much. She was just like, I think you're very brave. And I was like, okay. I was like, anything else? Do you want to talk about it? And she was like, no, I think I'm still processing. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I was like, well, I was like, if you ever want to talk about it, like, I'm here, like, whatever questions you have, everyone is aware. And she was like, okay. And then we didn't talk about it much more. And then one day we were watching Fuller House, and I don't know if you watched that show, but Kimmy's a surrogate for Stephanie in one of the episodes or in a couple of the episodes. And I remember us sitting together watching, and she watched it all the time, but we were watching it, and I kind of looked at her and I was like, and she looked at me, I was like, that's how you knew what a surrogate was. And she was like, yeah. And I was like,
Ah.
oh my goodness, I didn't know that. So yeah, we actually, she loves that show. She'll watch it all the time. So um, I think we watched it recently, maybe like a month ago, and it was those episodes again. And so we just
Sure.
kept looking at each other and like smiling. She knew.
Oh.
Um, and then one weekend, I took my daughter to meet the intended parents, and
Yeah.
we stayed the night at their house, and they're very welcoming. We did a couple things together, and then when we were leaving, and she was like, I really like them. She was like, I'm so happy you're doing this for them. She's like, they really deserve a baby. They're so nice. And I was like,
Oh.
oh, I was like, Anaya. So yeah, she's been awesome. Yeah.
Oh, what an amazing heart. Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. You already said you had your 13-week appointment today. So
hmm
exciting. As, just the pregnancy continues, what are you looking forward to?
Um, honestly, all of it, but I'm really looking forward to like seeing them, once the baby is here and the baby's born, and
Yeah.
like seeing them with the baby, because I
Mm,
I know that they're like, not to talk about their story, but I know they've had a really rough journey,
right.
and so, and they're so nice, they're so genuine, they're just really good people. And so just seeing them hold their baby for the first time, I'm really looking forward to that. Like, even just thinking about that makes me want to tear up. But they're just,
Yeah.
yeah. And even with my daughter, like, they're so involved with my daughter. Like, how is Anaya? We want to see Anaya. Like, today, Anaya is not with
Mm.
me today. So they're like, we really miss Anaya. We should get her something so she knows we were here with her. And I was like, like, they're just always thinking about her and asking about her. And so
Hmm.
it's not just, I really feel that it's not just about the baby. Like,
Hmm.
it's more than just, being a surrogate. So, yeah.
Yeah, the relationship has just evolved. It started with the purpose of, hey, we're going to make a baby, and it's evolved to we're friends.
Yes.
We have this special connection.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. How would you encourage, just others, whether they are single women, veterans, military spouses, or really just anybody, that are, just maybe curious about surrogacy, going from where you had your own curiosity to, listening to that whisper,
Yeah.
what would you say to them?
I would say definitely just like do your own research and
Mm,
listen to your heart, because I think I allowed people to kind of like steer me away from it that, in 2023, which in all honesty was kind of a good thing because I had just moved here. So I wasn't probably in the good place to even start it. So waiting the year was good for me. But just not listening to other people. I do find that there are still people that don't know a lot about being a gestational carrier and you have to explain it to them. So I would say just follow your heart. And if it's something that you really want to do, like research it and just make sure that it's something you want to do. And it is a process. It is a
yeah.
process. Like I think from the very beginning, I was just like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. No one can change. Like, once I finally made my decision, no one could change my mind. Yes. And I think in the beginning, I was very optimistic. Um, and then after I had the transfer, I did get a little nervous. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. I'm really, my daughter is about to be 12. So it's been 12 years for me,
Right.
11 and a half years since I've been pregnant. So I think like when I finally realized I was pregnant again, I was like, oh my God, like I'm nervous. I'm anxious. Like, what is this one going to be like? And that is when probably the anxiety and the nervousness really kicked up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I have to just bring myself down, right? I have to ground myself and just take deep breaths. I'm like, one day at a time, and everything is fine right now. Like, you're okay.
Yeah.
So I think definitely have a grounding routine too, because you're so. What I feel like once you make a decision, like, and it's something you really want to do, you'll be very optimistic until it happens, and then you're like, I'm in it now. Now what? Like, now I'm in it, and
Yeah.
you have to go through it.
Yeah. Well, it's remembering that why. Remembering the
Yes.
reason why you chose to
Mm,
do it, and
yes,
that
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 too.
heart of, just wanting to serve and serve others and be a part of something so big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Bridget. Okay, so I have one last question for you. And it's a fun one. Despite the fact that we are recording towards the evening, I am still drinking a cup of coffee because if anybody knows me, they know that I always have coffee in my hand. So I always love to ask the question, what has filled your cup today? Literally or figuratively, what has been the thing that has filled your cup?
Today, it was definitely my doctor appointment,
Yeah.
and my intended parents being there with me, because the last few, I guess, ultrasounds, they were on FaceTime. And
Mm-hmm.
so this time they were here in Oklahoma City with me, and they were in the room and they got to see their baby on the screen in person, and just like the smiles on their faces.
Mm.
And then, afterwards, them just like hugging me and just, thank you so much. And then we went out for lunch, and then, we sat there and talked for hours, and then they went home. So, definitely them getting to see. I love seeing the baby. I love seeing the baby on the screen too, and just she's very active, and so them they love that because she's very active, and so yeah, just seeing everyone happy and just like
Mm-hmm.
hopeful and holding on to faith. That was definitely the highlight of my day today.
That's
And it just so
beautiful.
happened to fall on today, so it was really nice. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, Bridget, really, thank you so much for just sharing part of your story, your why. I am so excited for you. 13 weeks. Okay, wait. So what's our due date?
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
very good. Very good. All right, well, sending continued just all of, just the baby dust and grow baby grow and easy labor vibes and just all of it. So, thank you so much, Bridget. I really
Thank
really do
you.
just appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. It was nice to be here. Thank you.